Sejam bem-vindos ao Conexão Nucleovet. Esse é o programa de entrevistas do Nucleovet. Nós estamos com um estúdio especial em parceria com a AgriNews Brasil. Nós editamos a AgriNews Brasil, Suíno Brasil e Nutrinews. É uma parceria para produzir conteúdo de qualidade para você que nos acompanha dentro de um espaço de decisão importantíssimo, que é o 25º Simpósio Brasil-Sul de Avicultura. Os palestrantes estão vindo até aqui para a gente trazer um pouco mais de informação sobre o que foi debatido no evento. Eu estou acompanhada aqui de pessoas muito especiais. O professor Dr. Peter Surai é especialista internacional em bioquímica nutricional e saúde de aves, foi o palestrante de hoje. O mediador do painel foi o professor Marcel Boiago, ele é professor do Departamento de Zootecnia da UDESC, seja bem-vindo, professor. E o Rafael Santos, que é gerente de categoria Latam na Seu, que é a empresa que trouxe o professor Surai para cá, e ele vai me assessorar, porque o meu inglês ainda não é aceitável, então a gente combinou aqui. Eu vou fazer a pergunta de abertura, o professor Marcel vai trazer as perguntas que o público fez, que não deu tempo de responder durante a palestra. Depois a gente vai legendar o vídeo para você que nem eu ainda não está com o inglês afinado. O tema da palestra foi Efeito dos antioxidantes na qualidade de carcaças e seus impactos na diminuição do peito madeira. Professor Surai, in your opinion, what is the most strategic role of natural antioxidants in modern poultry production, especially when facing challenges like wooden breast?
Well, poultry production, modern poultry production, is facing a lot of various challenges, which we call stresses. Those stresses can be divided in 5 different categories, starting from physiological stresses, like we want too much from birds to grow too fast, and this is a big stress for bird. We're talking about nutritional stresses like mycotoxins in the feed. We are talking about environmental stresses, which could be high temperature. We're talking about technological stresses, which means bird placement in the house, or thinning, or collecting birds before slaughterhouse. All those stresses are affecting birds. There are also internal, or so-called immunological stresses, which means challenges with pathogens. So all those stresses at the molecular level impose so-called oxidative stress, which is disbalance between antioxidants and pro-oxidants. So all antioxidants in the body are working together to provide protection against those free radicals which are produced in nature, and we are talking about at least 20 billions of free radicals produced in every cell every day. So the numbers are very big. They are very dangerous in a sense they can damage any biological molecules, including proteins, lipids, and DNA. Therefore, we need a protection. Now, among those stresses, there are also problems related to stresses. There are also problems with meat quality, which actually affect meat quality, especially those birds which are growing very quickly. One of those is wooden breast. Wooden breast, the problem appeared, actually first publication on this came 10 years ago. But today we know that up to 70% of most quickly growing broilers to some extent affected by this disease. So what's this disease all about? It's a shortage of development of vascular system of the breast muscle, because breast muscle is growing too quickly and vessels are not developed well to supply oxygen and to supply nutrients, because in order breast to grow, breast need oxygen, which actually major part of energy production, and meat or muscles also need nutrients to grow. So what's happened? Because of shortage of oxygen, we have so-called hypoxia, low level of oxygen. Hypoxia imposes oxidative stress, and that oxidative stress imposes a process called apoptosis, which is a programmed cell death. So which means that some cells will die. And what's happening in the body, when those cells die, they were replaced by different cells, but unfortunately those cells are not muscle cells, it's connective tissue. And connective tissue actually in the breast muscle actually makes that meat not attractive at all. But more importantly, processing capacity of the meat are affected, like increasing drip loss, which means that during storage more liquid coming from the meat. Appearance of meat is not very good. And in general, this is a major problem for fast-growing broilers. And as I mentioned, this is a result of very strong selection for many, many years. Now the question is how and if antioxidants can help. Because one of the major problems which is happening in this wooden breast is oxidative stress. It's proven. It's proven that oxidative stress is there. Oxidative stress related to apoptosis. Oxidative stress is related to the development of inflammation. So inflammation is also proven the part of this process, and so-called fibrosis, which means the replacement of muscle cells by fibrous tissue, which could be collagen, for example. So that's the problem. So among all antioxidants in the literature, what is published today, first came vitamin E, and there was a lot of promises or expectations that vitamin E can help, because vitamin E is a major antioxidant. It's a major fat-soluble antioxidant at the level of membranes, and it's was discovered in 1922. So it's a long, long history, and we expected that something would happen. Few trials were run with vitamin E. Results were mixed. They mixed in a sense that those who run trials and publish papers, they say vitamin E helping. But when I analyze those data, I don't see that, because, for example, the help, yes, the wooden breast decrease, but body weight also decreased by 100 grams. So the question is, for what price? And the research which was done, the basic diet, which was for comparison, was very low in vitamin E. Commercially, nobody used it with a level of vitamin E. Therefore, for today, all those publications related to vitamin E and wooden breast are not successful. Okay, the question is why? We expect it will work. Well, the problem is we still do not understand completely molecular mechanisms of the development of that disease. And the molecular mechanism, especially of regulation, so-called redox balance. It's a balance between antioxidants and pro-oxidants. And that redox balance is responsible for regulation of many, many different genes. So at the gene level, we saw many, many differences, many changes, but we still did not understand completely how it's happened. Before we understand that, it will be difficult to implement something, something which can help. Second came selenium. Again, for me, who was working with selenium, or are working with selenium for the last 25 years, well, I would expect that selenium will do the job. The only one publication was run, and at that publication, yes, organic selenium in the form of zinc selenomethionine helped to improve FCR, improve growth, so it was good. But unfortunately, higher growth was related to higher wooden breast. So the results not successful at that point. There was at least a publication in 2022 when polyphenolics were used. They were also not able to deal with it with that disease. There were also attempts to use synthetic antioxidants like etoxyquin. Okay. This was also not successful unless they add into the diet some oxidized fat, which is not the normal situation. So under stress, specifically design stress condition, that might help a bit, but not solving the problem. Other like minerals like copper, zinc in organic form, and various other forms, they did not solve the problem. So the major conclusion I made from the analysis of literature, all those successful attempts which were published in literature mostly related to decreased growth rate. So if you decrease growth rate like from 75 grams per day to 70, definitely you will decrease the problem of meat quality. But it's not the solution for industry, because those 5 extra grams per day, it's a big money we are talking about. Therefore, my conclusion from today's presentation is we need more science to understand molecular mechanisms of the development of diseases, of the specific wooden breast disorder. And once we understand more, we most likely would be able to design some supplementation. What it will be, I don't know. It might be one of them will be selenium, even so it was not successful once it tried. But what story about selenium, we need optimal form and optimal concentration. And if we have optimal form and optimal concentration, it's proven that selenium decreases inflammation. That's important for wound and breast. Selenium decreases NRF kappa B, which is pro-inflammatory, and improve NRF2, which is antioxidant defense. This is also very important. So taken together all those pieces of information I have today, I expect the scientists in the nearest future will design more experimentation, even if the previous experiments with the same nutrients were not successful. It depends on the level of understanding of the problem. And these will take time for scientists to get deeper and deeper to understand. Once we understood, we might help. But my expectation is that we will not solve that problem completely, because the vascular system, that's something which to change it even during selection process take ages. It take years. It's not. It cannot be done over days. Therefore, my understanding as a scientist is that we, in the meat production, especially in growth rate, we are near biological limit. And how we handle that limit, I don't know. What we can do nutritionally, we can support the bird, we can decrease the stress, because that wooden breast will be more severe under various stress conditions, because it's stress already. But if you have other stresses together, the severity of the problem will be high. Therefore, we might not solve the completely problem, but by understanding what is going on and how we can regulate that hypoxic changes under low oxygen level in a way that they do not produce too much of free radicals, do not destroy the redox balance. It will take time, but I am optimistic. I'm really optimistic. Everything will be okay.
Professor, nenhum problema na avicultura é simples de ser resolvido, né? Eu imagino a quantidade de dúvidas que isso ainda gerou no público. Você pode falar em inglês para o professor entender?
Sim. We don't have any doubt about it. We have been facing many challenges in poultry production, and the wood breast, as Dr. Peter explained to us very well, is one of the most common that we have been facing in the slaughterhouse, and together with I forgot the name now, the stripped.
White stripping.
Yes, white stripping. White stripping is another challenge we have.
And spaghetti meat as well. So
we have many tools to face these problems, as Dr. Peter explained to us. And we need to use selenium, vitamins, and all the antioxidants we have possibility.
E aí as perguntas que vieram do público, né?
Yes. Nós temos 4 perguntas. Temos tempo para todas?
Ele é bem abrangente nas respostas, né? Acho que a gente pode pegar a principal.
Eu peguei a principal aqui. Dr. Peter, do you believe that the current industry levels of selenium supplementation are sufficient, or should we be revising inclusion rates and selenium or even taurine source as part of the target prevention strategy?
Well, the problem with selenium is that in most of countries worldwide, it's regulated level what you can add. FDA in US allowed only 0.3 ppm, no more. More, it's illegal. In Europe, situation a bit different. It's 0.5 ppm of total selenium, but because in the feed you usually have about 0.2, so the same 0.3 level is restricted. Therefore, that restriction actually is very important in terms of science, because scientists did not run trials where selenium goes beyond 0.3 in most trials, because it's illegal, so why should they? Therefore, in those countries like Brazil, where there is no this limit, they might be some challenges which need more selenium, because generally 0.3 ppm will meet required in most of cases, but there are specific cases like high temperature, maybe some high challenges with pathogens when you need to maintain that immune system and so forth, so on and so forth, that they can go from 0.3, maybe 0.5. Here there is a question of toxicity, selenium always behind, but as I say, usually selenium, the devil is not so black as he is painted, which means that toxicity of selenium is not a problem for industry, because from 0.3 to 1 ppm, you still have 3 times more when anything can happen. So you can feed selenium up to 1 ppm and will not see any detrimental effects. Those cases of selenium toxicity, which can be seen somewhere in the industry, it's just a mistake of nutritionist. When he put instead of milligram gram, which 1,000 times more, but come on, you can put salt 1,000 times more in poison birds. So it's not a problem of selenium, and there could be another problem of mixing at those old feed meals where mixing is not good. But generally speaking, on the general level of industry, selenium toxicity is not a problem. That's why go from 0.3 to 0.5 in some cases. It's actually a valuable solution, but I would like to see those results published.
Okay, Dr. Peter. We have time for another question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Peter, do you know any markets where meat products have been differentiated through the use of antioxidants?
Not really, because the problem is, as I mentioned in my lecture, nobody wants to pay premium price. Because increase antioxidant, first of all, it's only vitamin E which can be reasonably increased. As for others, for example, you can try to increase carotenoids, the meat will be yellow, so that's not good. You can try high level of polyphenolics, you will not see them much in the muscle. So people did not try anymore. They try first, did not see accumulation, they do different way. And you can look at whatever other options are. For example, they use synthetic antioxidants, but they are not accumulated in the body. They are working only in the feed. Therefore, if we're talking about enrichment, yes, I've been involved in the development of antioxidant-enriched eggs. And those eggs today, for example, selenium-enriched eggs and vitamin E-enriched eggs, they are on the market worldwide. I have a slide where I have at least 20 pictures to show that they are already the picture made in supermarket shelves. For example, in Malaysia, in supermarket, I saw 4 different brands of selenium eggs. So on this side, not meat side, but egg side is easier because the accumulation of antioxidants in the egg yolk much easier because antioxidants like vitamin E are accumulated in the fat. In the meat, you don't have much fat. That's why your opportunity to increase the level of vitamin E to the extent that the meat become the source of antioxidant, no. But in terms of decrease of peroxidation during storage, yes. But as I mentioned, technology is developed, but industry did not take it because nobody wants to pay those extras, especially today when vitamin E is too expensive. Therefore, but there is always but. I believe that more science which will be showing all that detrimental effect of peroxides, which are accumulated in the meat during storage, during cooking and storage after cooking, they are carcinogenic, it's proven. If more science push this further, maybe some government authority will look at it and say, hey, we have to restrict the level of peroxide to this level. If they put legal limit of peroxide in the meat, I would expect that producer will come to antioxidant man and say, hey, can you help us to maintain? And as I mentioned, the technology was developed 20, 30 years ago.
Okay, nice.
Rafael.
No, it's just a question, Professor. During we are looking very close to the muscle and the winter breasting in your lecture, and we're talking about a little bit of the general health of the bird. So can you comment a little bit on protein oxidation and how this is related to the immune system and the general health of the bird?
Yeah, well, that's something which came very recently because for the lipid peroxidation story started in 1960 or even in 1950s. So when I was PhD from 1978, I was already doing TBA test and doing the lipid peroxidation. So 30 years ago, lipid peroxidation was on the stages already on the big scale. But recently, let's say maybe 20 years ago, more or less, was established that protein oxidation is a big problem. Why they did not do it before? Because there was no chemical technology or analytical technology to detect those oxidized proteins, if protein oxidized or not. So once technologies are developed, people started to look more and more how protein oxidized, and they prove that yes, protein oxidation is a big problem. For example, for meat industry, drip loss for many years was considered as a result of lipid oxidation and breakage of membranes. But today we know that actually it's not only that one. Okay, some effect, yes, there is oxidation having some effect.